Okay, so let's take a look at how you can create an instance of Azure SQL server and then connect that to HeidiSQL. So basically, HeidiSQL is data admin tool. You can search for that, right? So if we check the site, you will notice that mostly MariaDB, Postgres, and MySQL users use this. So I have downloaded portable installer and it looks something like this, right? So currently it has one empty session, so we will be rewriting that and we will be accessing our SQL instance over there. Now if we go to Azure portal, you will find that in services, and then we go to database and then click Azure SQL. Here you will find that we have already one instance of SQL Server and SQL database, right? So I will show you from the scratch how to create this instance. So click on create, which will take us to this page. In near future you may find the variation of this page, right? So here you have SQL database, which could be single database, elastic pool, or database server. There is also manage instance, which is single or could be single instance with Azure Arc, and then SQL virtual machine, right? So out of that we will choose single instance SQL database. Click on create so that you can move ahead, right? Now here you have a lot of options to take into account. First, your subscription, you pay as you go or free trial. Then there is resource group. Within you can create new. I created one called training and I'm using that. Then there is database option. I will name some random name. Then there is server option. You can click on create a new server, or you can connect to existing one, right? Now next thing would be to choosing the elastic pool. So if you have migrated your SQL data or you need a better performance, then you need elastic pool. Next is compute and storage. Here you have to configure your database. So you have between week over purchase or DTO based purchase model. In this particular week over model, you will be getting more charge because the number of CPUs and the data you choose. So if you pick that, you will notice increase in cost. You have CPUs and core support higher, right? And if you choose DTU based model, here you can see the price reduction happens, right? So I will choose the most basic DTU model. Click apply and here you have. Then you go to backup storage redundancy, where you have local redundant, zone redundant, and geo redundant option. So we choose local redundant backup storage, right? Now the next thing, we choose networking, where you can see I can add my own IP address and allow Azure services to connect as well. Then there is private endpoint, which you can add and select. Then there is connection policy, you can pick on, and also the encrypted connections to choose from. Now moving on to security, there is this service called Defender for SQL, which you can subscribe or choose not to, all up to you. I have choose not to, right? Then there is Ledger. So for those who are into crypto, you will find this service useful as well. So when you are setting something up related to crypto, then Ledger can be one service worth checking out. If you click on configure Ledger, you will find that option. Here you can choose that or you can ignore them, right? You can ignore them for future tables, and there is also digest storage to choose, right? So if you click on it, you can get further option to choose from Azure storage or confidential layer, right? Then there is also ledger database, right? Here you notice that you will be forced to enable if you enable the ledger database, right? Now we can ignore these details, come back here. Now here I can do the additional settings for database. I can choose existing data, right? Choose from backup or simply create sample data where you can see AdventureWorks is added, right? Now one more thing is choosing the collation. We will go with the default, and then comes the maintenance window. So we choose the maintenance window within which we wish to work, right? Now comes the tag option where you choose the tags and your database can be organized accordingly. Finally comes your review and create option where you can choose all the configuration, and then based on that you can create your database. Now as you can see here, you have Azure SQL instance already done by me, and I wish to connect this particular resource to HeidiSQL that we checked earlier. Now for that to work, I will have to check the server name from here, overview, and here you will see the server name, right? So what we will do is we will first copy this. Now let's create a new connection, right? If you want, you can remove any existing connections if you want. Then you pick your host and IP. The network type you can select SQL Server named pipe, TCP/IP, Windows RPC, or Wines. So let's say if we pick TCP/IP, right? And you can choose between SQL, OLTB server, library, right? So between these two you can pick, right? Then username, you can add your username and then also add the password, right? Now just paste the password and then you can test the connection or directly click on open. Here you can see using SQL or DB ADO provider is insecure, right? So let's switch to the new option. Right here you see, despite that it allowed me to connect, right? So I already have one database here. I can expand on that and can see master database and DevDB. If you double click, it will kind of show switching isn't allowed for now, and MasterDB is the one we are connected to. Now the thing is, whatever you choices you do, it will be visible at the bottom. Here you can see all the commands being thrown on our behalf. Here you can see use DevDB is pushed, and I can see that it has two tables within master. So if we check, we can find them as well, right? Now apart from that, you can perform some of the operations through your HeidiSQL. You can do the query, so new query, and we can type the queries or check our tables, etc. I added the AdventureWorks database, but I'm not much aware of its table and columns, so I'm skipping that part. But you can check them manually, or you can also create a new database and then connect here, import some documents and then view them here. That's also possible. One more thing, you are not just limited to HeidiSQL. You can use Azure Data Studio, then SQL Server Management Studio, Table Plus, dbeaver, Navigant. You have plenty of options to choose from. Now coming back to Azure, you can find that there is option to perform some of the queries. Now if we check here, Here, if I add the username password and log in, I can also run the queries from the Azure portal itself. I can see the tables, all the tables that we have. I can select top 100 or maybe even 10 rows out of this. So if we run, it will show you the result below, right? As you can see, it will get all the data that we want. So pretty much we established the connection from Azure SQL to HeidiSQL. We also looked at query editor in Azure SQL as well, right? So you get the idea how to do the workflow here for Azure SQL and HeidiSQL.